All right, well, as we commemorate Women's Month, we look into different spaces that women continue to strive and excel in, despite challenges that come with them. We're now joined via Zoom by Bontlefeela Mogoye. She is a former major in the South African Defence Force, then afterwards operated as a taxi driver, and is also embracing her love for fashion as a stylist. Bontle, very good afternoon to you, and thank you very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Just as a start, I mean, quite a transition, quite a few transitions, in fact, that you've made. I mean, from being a soldier, and I hope I'm using the right terminology here, to stylist, to taxi driver. Let's start with your experience as a woman in the army. Did you find yourself having to, overprove yourself, to prove your strength and your capabilities?
I think it happens all the time when you are in a male-dominated industry. You always have to prove yourself. And the nice thing about when I joined was that it was in 2003, and they were trying out a new system which is called the military skills development. It's a 2-year contract in the military. Then they, if you are interesting enough to be part of the military for 10 years, they will give you a contract. So. But, I mean, there was just few of us ladies during when they started with the military skills development. I think there's still that mentality that men still belongs in the military more than the women. So there was just like, I think in my group, there were like 10 of us ladies. And, look, everything was tough. So you have to do everything that the boys are doing, whether you're running 10K, 21K, or you walking for 50K, you have to do what the boys are doing, from carrying your R4, your big bag, and doing all those things. So you always have to prove yourself as a woman, whether you are in a male-dominated industry, which is what I think it happens in every industry that is male-dominated. So that is basically what was happening when I was in the military. Even from going to varsity, the military pays for your schooling, and during recess, we go for training. We don't go like other kids home. We go for training. So we still do all those things, running, river crossing. Some of the things that I really enjoyed during my time in the military was doing the river crossing. And you have to do what the boys are doing and prove that you can do it without having to cry. There's a belief that women will always cry and they complain. I mean, we did complain. I was one of the people that used to complain a lot. But at the end of the day, you have to do it because the boys are doing it. You have to prove yourself that you can do it. You belong there. It's like you have to be accepted by the male-dominated industry just to prove yourself as a woman.
And I mean, how's it been for you in terms of, I mean, these are 3 very different careers that you've been in. I mean, it seems you don't suffer from batho ring syndrome. I mean, you're now even behind the wheel as a taxi driver, and you really look nothing like what we assume a taxi driver looks like. How has that really been for you? And I mean, these 3 so different careers, have you had to, change, shift your mind in certain instances, or do you feel in all these 3 things that you've been in, whether it's the military, whether as a taxi driver, whether as a stylist, that you've had to bring different aspects of yourself, or is it really just sort of ingrained in you anyway?
I think, so with me being in the military at a very young age, straight from matric, I joined the military. So I've always been, it hasn't been about anyone.
Yeah.
It has been about me, also because I was raised by very strong women. I come from a family that owns taxis, so it's not a new thing to me when I was behind the wheel. I grew up in a taxi environment, and one of the most important aspects that I like about and I love about myself and the military has taught us is that it doesn't matter what people say. You have to be your own individual, because when you go into the military, you are your own person. You have to be your own hero. You have to be your own Bontlefeela. Nobody's going to take care of you if you don't take care of yourself. So learning from that age that I have to take care of myself. Whether the next person doesn't like what I'm doing or they like it, it is really not about me, about them. But the survival remains with me. I mean, going on survival training also, it teaches you to be an individual, that you have to be your own person. Whether, if you don't make it, it means you are making everybody to be behind. So you have to work for your own self. And that has been one of the things that has made me to be this person that it's really not about the next person. I have to think of myself in everything that I'm doing. And I mean, even at home, I do drive taxis. So it wasn't really, I mean, you know how, I think people in Gauteng over-exaggerate everything. I'm from a small town in the Free State, so nothing is like new in the Free State, because we know the women at home, you'll find a women taxi drivers.
Yeah.
I mean, in the times of social media, I think that's what made people to be like, how she's driving a taxi and she's not wearing maybe jeans and a t-shirt. Maybe that was the notion behind people being like, oh, okay, she's also into fashion. Why is she doing it? I mean, a lot of people were saying, life in Chatile, things like that.
Yeah.
And, there's just people that don't understand that I'm not doing it for anybody, but I'm doing it for myself. At the end of the day, I have myself to report to and not the next person.
Yeah, I mean, that's truly inspiring. And I wonder, for young women out there, are we sort of steadily moving to, a place where certain jobs are not seen as jobs exclusively for men or some jobs exclusively for women? I mean, you've been on sort of both sides. You've been, being a stylist, it's a career that's seen as being particularly feminine. Being in the taxi industry, taxi driving, and in the army, that's seen as being very, very masculine. What should we do in terms of moving away from this thing that we have, that certain jobs should be reserved for men and that certain jobs should be reserved for women? Should we be teaching, our young kids, early on, that there really isn't such a thing and you can really go into anything?
I think I'm always advocating that as women, we need to take care of ourselves, and we are our own responsibility. Nothing is for someone. So if a man says this job, like working in a mine, and they say you can't do it, nobody can tell you can't do something before you do it. Even when I joined the military, before that, I think 2 months before that, I used to hear people saying, no, you won't make it because they're running all day and they carry heavy stuff. I mean, I'm not carrying anything heavy, but I still went there because my mother, who said to me, listen, if you want to do anything, you have to put your mind to it. And I think the kids today are taught about glamour. Like, the only thing that you can do is marketing. You have to look beautiful. You have to sit in a position where, the chair, you have a rolling chair and an office in the 12th floor where you look beautiful, but you can't go into construction and do what the men are doing. We need to start teaching our kids that you need to start now to be able to do anything that will make you responsible, bring you wealth, and anything that you can do it that a man is doing, you can also do it. And I'm not saying, I don't think I'm a feminist. I'm not saying people are equal. We're not equal. I've seen in the military that there were certain things that I couldn't do that men could do better. But I tried.
Yeah.
I didn't just sit back and say, no, I can't do it. I can't carry an Alpha. I can't shoot. I can't do midnight shooting. I did them. It was difficult. Everything is difficult if you've never tried it. It was difficult. For the boys, it was easy. But I tried and I did it. I mean, 10 years later, I think I can do better. I do better because those are the things that I told myself, that I'm not going to sit back and say, no, it's a man's work. I can't do it. I can't be running. I can't be walking 50 Ks because I'm a woman. I can't be carrying a big bag because it's heavy. No, it's not heavy. It's all in the mind. So everything that is there, it's not described for someone. It's for every one of us, whether you are a woman or a man. So we need to teach our kids that you need to do everything and anything that you think you can do because you are your own person.
Yeah, and I think you're also taking away this these feelings of entitlement, you know, that many women sort of have, that, you know, because I'm beautiful, because I dress well, you know, there must be some man out there who'll be able and willing to take care of me. You're saying, you know, just looking at what you've been able to do, you have all those attributes. You could decide, I'd actually rather have a man take care of me. I'm stylish, I'm beautiful, all of those things. But you're kind of taking that away and saying, I can do all of this on my own. I can take care of myself. I really don't need to be taken care of. And I think it's important, wouldn't you say, to give that sort of message to young girls out there that, you know what, your beauty and your style isn't necessarily going to pay your bills, will it?
Yes, it does. It will never, look, beauty and style and just sitting on. I think it's one of the topics that actually we had today on Twitter. Someone tweeted that there are women that don't want to do anything. And I said, I don't think any woman wants to just sit and do nothing. But also reflecting, and I was like, actually, I have probably seen this, but I'm just being blind because I'm so much want to protect women and say women always want to stand up and do things for themselves. And I would hate to think that there is any girl out there who doesn't want to do anything for themselves. I get so excited when I want to travel and I have to pay for my own ticket and I have to save for any other thing that I want to buy. I mean, from buying the most expensive bag that I thought was expensive, I had to save for it for 6 months. When I was working, I saved for 6 months and I bought it. And I would want a young girl out there to look at me and say, you know, Uzbunke, this is what she does. She does not wait for any man to give her money or to give her life that she wants. You have to create that life for yourself. If nobody's gonna, they might do it for 2 years, yes, because you're still pretty, you can do your eyebrows and your red lipstick, but somebody else, there will always be a replacement. Somebody else will come. So you have to have something that you'll fall back on. For 2 years, it might be nice, but remember, in that 2 years, you need to start empowering yourself so that if anything happens, you can fall back and say, you know what, I really don't need you. I can do this for myself.
Yeah. Bontle, thank you very much. Thanks for that conversation. And, of course, really inspiring young ladies out there as you do. We appreciate your time here on SABC News.